Hi guys, my name is Kunal Kumar and I am security consultant at RedFox Security. Today we will do Retro2 machine from VulnLab, which is Active Directory machine. So I started the machine and started the nmap scan using SV and SCC or SCSV flag. So looking at the output, we can identify that the following port is running. This one is for RDP and SMB, LDAP, and I think there will be also Kerberos port, which is 88. So looking at this port, we can identify that this is domain controller basically, because domain controller use LDAP and the 8080 for Kerberos authentication. So next we will use netexec to gather more information about the domain. So looking at the output, we can identify the machine name is BLN01 and which using Windows Server 2008 data center. You should not rely on the netexec or cracked mapexec output for guessing the operating system. It sometimes shows wrong. And the domain name is retro2.vl. So our nmap scan is still running. What we can do, we can use SMB client to list the shares if we have any access for it. Do not enter any password, just press the enter. It will list all the shares. So this one is default and requires admin privileges, which the dollar one, and there is also public share, and this one and net login is also default for domain controller. So there is public share. We can try accessing this server unauthenticated and try listing if we have any access to the files or directory. Okay, just you have to provide the share name also. Just press L. So there is two folder, one is DB and one is TIM. So just let's move to the DB folder and do ls. So there is file staff.accessdb file. We can try downloading it using git command. So it's got downloaded. We can check the another directory, which is I guess temp, if there is any also file. So here is not any file. What we can do, we can also check for the write access, if we have any write access to these folders. Just create a file using touch and try putting it into the share. So we do not have any write access to the temp directory. We can try for DB directory also. We do not have also access to this share for write permission. Next we will analyze what file type is this. So we can use file staff accessdb to identify the file type. So it is basically Microsoft Access database. So we can try opening it using Microsoft Access database. Just copy it. I'm just going to copy it in my host machine. Which is access. So it's require password to open the database. What we can do, we can use Office to John to gather the hash of this file and later crack it using John. join the Reaper tool. Office to join, and just pass the file name, and it will give you the password hash for this file. So just redirect the hash into a file, and we can basically crack it using join. Just provide the word list for rock queue, and it will take some time to crack the hash for the password. So we have successfully got the password for the staff accessdb file, which is class 08. We can try entering the password here, class 08. Then just go to the staff, and looking at the code, we can see that it leaked the credential of AddSelf reader for Retro2 domain and the password. So just copy it. So this is our password, and this is for user AddSelf reader. What we can do netexec smb and just pass the IP, or you can just pass the domain also. For passing the domain, I guess I have added it into etc host file. So I have not added the domain in etc host file for domain resolution. I can just add the IP here and the domain, which is retro2.vl, as seen in netexec output. So just save it, and we can do netexec smb retro2.vl and just pass the password. So we can see that the user is valid, and if we see the nmap output, it do not have WSMan or WinRM port open. There is RDP port. We can try authenticate to the machine, but by default DC do not allow domain user to authenticate to the domain controller. But we can still try for it, like if the user have rights to authenticate to the domain controller. We can use xfree RDP, and then just so we have got the TLS connect error. What we can do, TLS, set the TLS security level to 0. Just press Y. So we can see here that we do not have privilege to RDP into the domain, basically domain controller. So what we can do, we can run BloodHound to gather domain information, and later we can analyze it in BloodHound. So we can use BloodHound-python, which query through AddSelf to gather information from the domain. For Windows there is SharpHound, but we do not have any access to the machine, so we will use remotely using BloodHound-python. Just type your retro2.vl domain, and we want in zip format, and we want all information from the domain. And as for your name server, just pass your IP to this. and your credentials. So it is connecting to AddSelf server. It will take some time, around like 1 or 2 minutes, depending on the domain size. So we have got our output in the zip file. So we can open it using BloodHound. Just click upload data and just go to your home directory. Let's go to analysis and we will use pre-built analytic queries. Just let's find the domain admins. So there is 3 domain admins. One is Alex, Caroline and administrator. Looking at the decising rights, we will see that what user or object have decising rights to the domain. So there is one user admin which do not show up in domain admin list. That's mean this one is not domain admin, but this user have decising rights. And next, the default ones have decising rights, nothing here. Next we can see for shortest path to domain admin. So looking at the output, we see that domain computer have just GenericWrite over this computer, and this computer have AddSelf right to services group, and services group can RDP into the BLN01, which is basically domain controller, and domain controller have decising rights over domain. And there is one member in services group also, which is inventory. So to abuse GenericWrite, what we can do, we can like create a new computer. If we have Mac of 10, we can create a new computer which will be going in domain computers, and then we can abuse the GenericWrite. So to abuse GenericWrite, we can use targeted Kerberoasting and shadow credentials, or we can directly change the password of this computer. So shadow credentials will not work because the operating system is in use is way outdated, which is Windows Server 2008. And for targeted Kerberoasting, basically Kerberoasting, it will also I guess not work because the machine account password is not set by the human. So it set by default and is very long. So brute forcing the password for this machine account is not easy. And we have also FS01 and FS02 computer account. So I did retro machine from VulnLab also. They are in that machine they are using pre-created computer accounts. So basically, what is pre-created computer accounts? I will show you. So when you create a computer, you can basically use this function to assign this computer account as pre-Windows 2000 computer account. Setting this, the password for the machine account will be same as the machine name, and when you try to log on using the computer account with password same as the machine name, it will show you status no longer workstation test account. That's mean you have guessed the correct password for the machine account that has not been used yet. So for using the machine account, we have to first change the password of the machine account to use it. We can change the password of the machine account using tools like netrpc or impacket change password tool. So let's change the password of the machine account Okay, so as I have shown you that the computer account that has not been used, so we have two computers in domain, two computers basically in the domain, and also there is also one computer and there is one, so there is basically wait, so basically there is three members in domain computers, FS01, FS01 and ADMWS01. So what I can do, I can try authenticate to domain using FS01 machine account with password FS01. To authenticate using machine account, we have to put $, and for password we will use the machine account name FS01. So we can see that it shows status no login workstation trust account, which shows that the credentials is valid but account is not used yet. So we can change the password, for the machine account to use it. So we can use netrpc or impacket change password to change the password of this machine account. So what we can do, we can use impacket change password. Type your domain name and the IP. Just copy your IP. You have to provide the machine account name using password FS01. You just use the escape because it might give some error. And the machine account, we will use new password, set the new password using new pass command, and we will use protocol RPC SMAR. So it is connected using RPC, and change the password for the machine FS01 $. So we can confirm it using by netexec and provide the password test@123, which we change just here. So it shows the password has been successfully changed and we successfully authenticated using the newly changed password test@123. Next, what we will do, we will see the output again, or we can mark as owned, and just go to shortest path to domain admin from own principals. So we can see here now that this is member of domain computers, and domain computers have GenericWrite over ADMWS01. So we will now try to change the password of this machine account using netrpc by using this account. So we will use netrpc. We are going to change the password for the ADMWS01 machine account. So we will use password and then provide the object name we want to change the password of it, and provide the new password. I will use test@1234, and the credentials we are going to use to change the password of this machine account, which is ADMWS01. Just use FS01. And provide the IP. What we can do, we can use it did not give any error, so we can assume that the command has been successfully executed. We can verify it using netexec. And the newly changed password for this machine account is test@123.4. So we can see that the password has been successfully changed and we have successfully authenticated using this machine account and the newly changed password. Next, following the path in BloodHound, we can see that this computer account have AddSelf right to this group. Basically, AddSelf rights give you rights to add yourself to the following group. So that's mean this machine account can add itself to this group. If we see the path from here, it will reveal also to the services group. It will reveals that this machine account have two rights over this group. One is add member and the second one is add self. So using add member, this machine account can add anyone in domain to this group, and using add self, this machine account add itself to this group. It can add to this group only, I mean it can only add itself to this group, not any other object using add self right. But using add member right, this computer account add anyone to this group. So if we see here that member of services group can RDP into this computer, which is basically domain controller. So if we try to change the password of if we try to add any computer object to this group, it will work, but we cannot authenticate using RDP to log into this computer, because machine account cannot RDP into any computer. So what we will do, we will abuse the add member rights to add our user, which is AddSelf reader, to this services group, and then we will RDP into this computer. So we can add the AddSelf reader user to services group using netrpc. So we can use netrpc group add mem, and then we will provide the group name services. Then we will provide the which member we want to add to this group. So we want AddSelf reader, and just provide the domain information with credentials. We are going to use this machine account because this machine account have right to add member. Just press enter. So this command successfully executed and did not give any error. We can confirm that our AddSelf reader user added in services group are not using netrpc, like this command. We can list the members also using this command. we can see that the AddSelf reader user is successfully added into the services group. Now we can try RDP into the domain controller. So it's successfully worked, as the member of services group have rights to RDP into the BLN01 computer, basically, which is domain controller. So let's wait. Just open the file explorer and go to computer. We can see it is Windows Server 2008. We can find our user.txt here. Just open and we will check our privilege. Who am I? AddSelf reader. Looking at the privilege, I do not see any extra privilege for this user. So what I did for gaining access to the administrator or root access, I cannot say basically what I check, because it is restricted to talk in video. So I basically check a hint from their side, and they are referring to a blog to read about like how you can abuse this functionality to gain administrator rights in the basically the domain controller. So they have given link to this blog, and we have to find which blog leads to this current machine scenario. So looking at the blogs, I found a blog which was abusing insecure registry permission to add a DLL, basically add a DLL to its registry key. And let's search for insecure registry. So we have seen here Windows RPC EPT mapper service. So in this scenario, we will abuse insecure registry permission for this RPC EPT mapper. So to understand this scenario, basically you have to follow this blog to understand what I am going to do or how this vulnerability basically works. And this works only in outdated system like Windows Server 2008. So basically there is permission to this registry that AddSelf user have create sub key permission. That's mean the AddSelf user can create sub key in this registry, which is RPC EPT mapper. And if we follow the blog forward, then we can see that the generic name for the create sub key is append data and add subdirectory. Here author tried to basically he tried to modify the image path, and it shows access denied because the author do not have access or rights for write data or add file permission. So the author basically utilizes the performance subkey to add a DLL and execute it to gain the anti-authority system privileges. For better understanding, you can follow this blog. Follow this blog. So what I will do, I will just go for the author GitHub, and I will download the binary which has been given by this author to execute it, named I think perfusion. We can search for it over here. Just download it. Extract the basically the binary given by the author. Just open the SLN file. It will open in Visual Studio. Just click OK. Just select the release version and click compile. So it's compiled successfully and give the output in .exe format. Just copy the binary. Just copy the binary to your local Kali machine, and you can use Python server to transfer it. Just check your tunnel zero. Just copy your IP, and we can utilize certutil to download the perfusion.exe binary. You can also use another binary like bits admin, or you can check lolbash website for different type of binary. So it's successfully downloaded the perfusion.exe binary, and to execute the binary we can look for the parameters we have to pass. So it is perfusion -c cmd, and it will open it in interactive mode. So just pass the parameter and pass the I. So the payload or exploit is working and successfully work, and I guess it give us a new CMD process as anti-authority system. You can now just check, go to administrator directory and look for root.txt. So this was the main goal of this machine, to gain administrator rights on the domain controller, and we have successfully gained rights on the domain controller. So I will suggest, to understand this privilege escalation vector, you can follow this blog to understand what exactly the author is doing and how it is exploiting the registry and its permission to load a DLL to execute it as anti-authority system. And you can also read about pre-created computer accounts for better understanding. So that's it for today video. I hope you like it. This was my first video on write-up, like solving CTF, or you can say machine, from VulnLab. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, please like it and subscribe the channel. Thank you.